it's really in the last 200 years or so, 250 years, that this world has changed unrecognizably. Because since the beginning of history, this world has always been pretty much the same in its character and nature. It's been agricultural, natural. It followed the natural cycle of life through seasons and things like that. But from the time of these modern revolutions, and the first one was the Industrial Revolution, we started actively and systematically destroying the earth. Now, it all started with coal, okay? The invention of the steam engine. So the coal, that's the first stuff we started digging out of the earth massively, globally, and we started polluting the earth seriously with steam engine and burning of the coal. We talk about CO2 now, CO2 footprint. Nobody cared about that when the steam engine and the railways were invented. So that was the first thing. Coal through the steam engine, phase one. Phase two, invention of the internal combustion engine. Okay, we talk about oil and cars and everything that uses diesel, petrol, oil. And this is a stage two. And through this also we have enormously polluted the planet Earth and destroyed its habitat, nature, and everything else. That's again why people are trying to get rid of the cars that use diesel and eventually petrol and making electric cars now. Yes, and supposedly making things better and healthier and better for the environment and planet Earth. But then even the electric cars, I mean, you have to charge them. Where do you get the electricity from? You still have to burn stuff, either coal in the power plant so that you can get electricity to charge cars. So you still have to burn stuff and pollute the earth. Or alternatively, you can go for uranium, stage three, moving from steam engine and coal, stage one, stage two, internal combustion engine and oil, moving on to stage three, where you come to the discovery of nuclear power. And that's the stage three, which can be used for severe destruction with nuclear weapons or to produce energy again in nuclear power plants. Now, some people say this is the cleanest form of energy. Maybe in some context, in some ways, it could be, but you will remember Chernobyl and the disaster that's still decades later affecting the planet pretty much worldwide. And we remember also some of the nuclear tests performed since the 1950s in the Western Bloc, in the Eastern Bloc, nuclear bombs going all over the place, and nobody really cared about it at the time. But all that pollution is still around. And then Fukushima in Japan, just a couple of years ago, we had a nuclear power plant disaster over there. So people say, no, this is not safe. This is not safe. This is not clean. This is so dangerous, this nuclear power you're using. But then nowadays, the price of fuel is going up, the price of gas is going up, everything is disappearing. So politicians are changing their minds again and say, oh, yeah, we should build more nuclear power plants now. So, but we'll leave this to the politicians to deal with. But basically, since the time of the Industrial Revolution, we have started actively polluting, practically destroying the earth. And it's all about the exploitation of natural resources, not looking after it, not taking care of it, not being stewards of the creation, but exploiting it to the point of destruction, irreversible destruction in some ways, in some cases. And this is where we find ourselves in this modern capitalist era. So this is the first revolution, industrial revolution. Soon after that, we had the American Revolution that took place in the 18th century. And the Americans now is the global player in world politics. It's policing the whole earth and it's doing whatever it wants to do. After that, we had the French Revolution. Now, this was significant. Just a few decades after, or a decade after the American Revolution, decade and a half or 2 decades later, we had the French Revolution. Now, this was something else because for the first time ever in history, we have our entire country, entire state declaring that there is no God. We have an atheistic state declared for the very first time in history, the entire country saying there is no God. The birth of modern atheism, state atheism, which later on would translate into Russian Revolution, because Russians and the French have always had a good relationship in apart from Napoleon, of course, after that. Um, in the 19th century, and and they always had a relationship, especially in the 19th century. And then this would also translate later on into Chinese Revolution. So the French Revolution later on caused Russian Revolution, which also then caused Chinese Revolution in terms of communism. And of course, yes, you can see communism as something terrible and evil, but then if you look at the modern capitalism uh, in conjunction with industrial revolution, with the exploitation of the planet Earth and exploitation of that early industrial revolution, starting in England and spreading elsewhere, you had little children working in mines, 16 hours a day, that sort of stuff, and people crowding in the cities, everybody working in these production lines and factories, and life turned pretty nasty, and it turned extremely unnatural. The life has stopped following the natural cycle of nature and seasons, and became extremely unnatural, this modern lifestyle. And this was one of the causes of communism, because they wanted to stop this craziness and exploitation of people and children, and I suppose the planet Earth itself. Somebody wanted to press the brakes on. Obviously, that turned out pretty bad too, but uh, yes, there's no going back now in any case. What happened, and this is where we are. Then later on, in the middle of the 19th century, we have Charles Darwin. Um, we're not talking here about revolutions now, but about evolution. Now, evolution, the theory of evolution existed in ancient Greece. And there are a couple of philosophers who had a theory that life came from water and evolved from less complex to more complex forms of life and that sort of stuff. But there are just a few people who sort of thought about it and talked about it 2,400 years ago. But now, since the 19th century, the theory of evolution became modernized and globalized, just like atheism, communism. These kind of new ideas became modernized and globalized and started spreading everywhere. And the bottom line is both, if you look at the East and West in the past century, both East and West, capitalism and communism, they both come from the same motherlode, same source, which is materialism. Materialism. They both come from the same egg of materialism. So this is what we have. The modern times, last 250 years, the time of revolutions, the time of modern theory of evolution, it's all being globalized, and it's the time of the gradual pollution and destruction of the earth, and also the time when we, as humankind, started forgetting the creator, starting with the French Revolution, atheism, then moving onto Darwin and modern theory of evolution and other key players there, and how it all developed since then. So we have basically these two things: destruction of the earth and forgetting of the creator. Forgetting of the creator. These two things seem to correspond to the time that Bible calls the time of judgment, the time of the dead, that they should be judged, the time and the hour of God's judgment has come. This is the time we are talking about. Now, some people who don't even believe in God and don't believe in God or in Holy Scriptures or in the Bible or anything like that, they can see that this is happening. It's the time when the earth is being destroyed. And some people, they don't have to read the Bible to understand where we are and what's happening and where we are going from here. And because we are clearly destroying the earth, some clever people and rich people like Elon Musk, well, he's trying to colonize Mars, or as some people suggest, maybe he just wants to go back home. Well, good luck living there where there is no water, there's no air to breathe, there's no food, there is no optimized gravity to prevent muscle atrophy, to prevent bone loss. There is no green and blue out there, like on this earth, the green and blue key colors that reflect the throne of God and the colors of life. That's it. So good luck to those who are hoping to live on Mars. So if you look at these modern times, and we remember that one of the key messages at the end of the scriptures is remember the Creator, the one who made the heavens and the earth and the seas, the waters. And the things that we have forgotten, they're all highlighted in the first two chapters of the Bible, the creation. And if you look at it, and we look at our modern lifestyles now, you can actually see that we have forgotten not only the Creator, but the foundations upon which he laid this planet and life on this planet, how it's all been turned around and modified. So, a couple of key texts from Genesis chapter 1 and 2, creation account, and then we look at each segment individually. There's about 3 or 4 key things there. There are like principles established by God at the beginning when he designed this world, when he designed humankind, principles based on which this world and humans would function. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. And God said, see, I have given you every herb that yields seed, which is on the face of all the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed. To you it shall be for food. Then God saw everything that he had made, and indeed it was very good. So the evening and the morning were the 6th day. Then God blessed the 7th day and sanctified it, because in it he rested from all his work, which God had created and made. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. Then the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden, to tend and keep it. So all these things highlighted in red and here in green, we will look at these key principles one by one and see how they correspond to the times that we live in and our own lifestyles in this day and age. So the first one that's highlighted in green, then God blessed the 7th day and sanctified it, because in it he rested from all his work. This is the 7-day Sabbath. And basically, God rested. There is this time from the beginning of creation where God himself stopped. He stopped. And that's one of the concluding messages from the story of creation in Genesis chapter 1 and 2. Now, the Industrial Revolution and all the new technology that's been invented, it has completely disrupted the natural cycle of life. The seasons, people used to work a lot in springtime, sowing things, And summertime, tending the ground, tending the earth, um, growing things, and then have harvest time, and that's it. In the winter time, there's not much to do. People used to spend time together, talking, sharing stories, looking after animals. There are seasonal activities for us. Also, day and night. Without electricity and modern technology, people used to go to bed early and they used to sleep when it was dark, used to be awake and up during the daylight. But our modern lifestyles, industrial revolution, things like production lines, I think it was invented by Henry Ford, uh, of the Ford motors or cars. Factories that never stop. There is no stop. There is no stopping. Things are always spinning, always spinning. It never stops. It never stops. It's an unceasing lifestyle without rest. That is how the modern lifestyle has changed the original natural design from the beginning, where each seventh day, everything, as far as God is concerned, He Himself stopped, uh, resting from His work. And I suppose the humankind, Adam and Eve, would have been aware of that. And the way we are going forward with technology, and especially in recent decades with information technology, there is just no rest. There is no rest. There is no stopping. There is things going off constantly. Information is being loaded into our minds, into our eyes. We're bombarded constantly through social media, especially. When does it stop? Is there any time in our days when you can just say stop, 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 and rest? We are like the Jewish slaves in Egypt, constantly building bricks and building things constantly without ever being able to stop. No rest, no rest, no stopping. So this is our modern lifestyle uh, that we find ourselves in. That's been pushed into each individual mind and heart, especially. It's been like that, going like that through media for many decades, but in the last 2 decades, through social media especially. Are you able to stop, turn it off, stop the information, whoever is sending it to you, from getting into your brain? This crazy information overload that's causing so much stress and anxiety, and we don't know how to cope with it because it's not the natural order of things. Okay, so that's one thing, rest. God has instituted rest at the beginning of creation through the 7 day Sabbath. Next, at the beginning of creation, God has designed us to have specific foods to eat. Uh, and God said, see, if you look at the green text, see, I have given you every herb that yields seed, which is on the face of all the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed. To you it shall be for food. So obviously, originally we are designed to be vegetarians, and also as you read the story further on, animals were also designed to be vegetarian. There is no killing amongst animals in the animal world at the beginning of creation. The key word referring to our food is seed. Seed. All the top quality stuff that we should eat. This is the top quality food, top range. God gave to animals, if you read the story a little bit more, green plants to eat, sort of, vegetables, grass, that sort of stuff. Uh, Good stuff, but this stuff that God gave us is a top quality food. Seed. Seed is the carrier of life. If you take a little seed, throw it into the ground, it will grow up. It brings life into it. It's a carrier of life. The life itself is in the seed. This is the type of food that God has given us to eat in the beginning. Keyword is seed. Come back to this uh, in a moment. Now, this is an image from Mongolia. Why would I speak about Mongolia? Because Mongolia is very specific and unique. Even today, there is a nomadic lifestyle in Mongolia. Not so much in the last 10 years or so, but up to 2008 or so. A lot of population still lived as nomads, moving with cattle, moving up and down the hills and valleys. And this is how their lifestyle was from the beginning of creation. From the beginning of creation, this natural lifestyle, people still living this even today. But more than 50% of population of the entire country moved to the capital city, Ulaanbaatar, just around a decade ago. And what happened? Since 2010, Ulaanbaatar, the capital of Mongolia has become the most polluted capital in the world. Okay, so some foreign investors, some from Australia and some other places, they found out there's a lot of copper, there are a lot of minerals, resources in Mongolia, and especially copper mines. That was the big thing that started off everything in Mongolia. So they invested a lot of money and created a lot of jobs. Lots of people crowded into the cities for these jobs, for these new things, and they started changing their natural lifestyle, natural life cycle by coming to the cities. Now, obviously, those investors have grabbed most of the money. That's how capitalism works. You're not a charity. You get most of the money, and the people of the country have been left high and dry. They get some pittance, just some basics, and that's it. But what they have also been left with is pollution, terrible pollution. And since around, you know, early 21st century, or roughly around 2010, more and more people started having problems with lifestyle diseases, uh, like diabetes, cancer, and some other things. Obviously, it's always been around, but uh, it's not been like epidemic of these diseases. It just happens. It happens. But it's become it's become an epidemic. It's become a massive problem now in Mongolia, and they never had these problems before this time. It's just in recent decade or two. That's it. Things have turned pretty bad through us changing the natural order of things, and this is where uh, the capital of Mongolia is now, the most polluted capital in the world since 2010. Now, this is a picture from my hometown, Sombor, in Serbia. This is a swimming pool. Why do I put this picture on? Because uh, I've been going there for many years in the summer and taking some people from England with me there, and they always comment. Everybody here is tall and skinny, and especially skinny, skinny. So why is that? Well, I suppose genetically speaking, that's one of the reasons. Genetics. There are lots of tall people there, and you may know a chap called Nikola Jokic, who is currently the reigning MVP or most valuable player in NBA. He's from the same small town as myself, Sombor, out there in nature, out of the way, just a small town. Lots of tall people, lots of basketball players, therefore, and lots of skinny people. Just everybody's skinny. People tell me from England, why is everybody so skinny here? Well, genetics is one reason, but that's not the only reason. Lifestyle. Lifestyle is also as big as genetics. Fast food shops started being introduced in Serbia just over a decade ago, since around 2010 or so, roughly. And some convenience stores and some sort of foods in markets that you couldn't buy before. There's convenience foods and fast foods everywhere. And since that year, there is a specific year I can remember, and I know people who were there with me. We can remember for the first time ever seeing kids who have always been skinny for decades. For the first time, you could see some kids that are not so skinny anymore. And it changed overnight just through the introduction of the fast food shops and convenience foods in the markets. Overnight, things changed. And I suppose the genetics went down the drain, and it's just the lifestyle that took over and changed the look of the people of that area. Um, that's our modern lifestyle, how it changes things when it's introduced. And it's not just in Serbia, there are other parts of the world that are facing the same problem, as you can see on this picture. Now, do you know what the very first processed fast food is? Or processed food. The very first processed food is white bread flour. Now, up to 1870, in the 1870s, these steel rollers were invented and produced to grind uh, wheat and other seeds into flour, bread flour. Up to the time, since the beginning of time, we have the grinding stones, and you have like stone ground flour, which was not as, I suppose, it's different to these modern steel rollers. And basically, you would get the whole seed crushed, and it come out. It'll be a bit rough, but it will contain the whole package of the seed. Remember the seed, the key word in the foods that God has given us at the very beginning, designed us to eat the seed. Now, what we've done with the seed, we have changed how it functions. Since the invention of the steel rollers and the way they roll and crush the seeds and separate um, the white flour from everything else, and one of the main reasons the white bread has been produced, white bread flour, is with the industrial revolutions, people started crowding into cities. There's massive influx of people, and there is a need for food, a lot of food in the cities. Now, if you do the old-fashioned stone grinding, you get really good quality flour, but it perishes relatively quickly. And if you remove like wheat germ and some other stuff from it, just keep the white bread flour, it can last for a good number of months. So you can store it, you can have plenty of it, and you can feed a lot of people. And it's cheap, and it works, and it supports the modern lifestyle. Brilliant. This is the very first processed food, white bread flour. Now, for the sake of convenience or for the sake of accommodating to this new lifestyle, we have made some sacrifices. That very seed which God has given us in the beginning to eat, we have compromised it. And with it, we have compromised our uh, health and not just the lifestyle, but all kinds of things. Now, if you look at this picture, this is wheat germ. That's just the germ in wheat. Obviously, there's other stuff there that's not in the white flour, but that's just wheat germ. It's the stuff you can put the germ in it grows. It's got life in it. God has God has delegated a life to the seeds that we have. It's the seed that produces life. It's the seed that causes life to happen and grow. In plants, in animals, and humans, that's how it works. That's how we're designed. Life comes from seed. Now, if you look at just wheat germ, that stuff that's been taken out of the white bread flour, uh, it's got all kinds of good things. Now, if you go to supermarkets now, there's a whole section of stuff that you can buy minerals and vitamins and all these additional things that you have to put in because, well, white bread flour doesn't have anything in it really, any useful stuff, and that's why in breakfast cereals and everything you always have things like fortified added. It's got extra vitamins, minerals, iron, this and that. Now we have taken all the good stuff out, and then we have to put it back in artificially because that's what our bodies need. So see the kind of stuff you will find just in wheat germ that is not there. So if you have the whole wheat, sorry, the whole seed of wheat or barley or anything like that, it's got everything your body needs, pretty much so. It's full of protein, it's full of calcium, it's full of all kinds of vitamins and minerals, it's full of omega-3 fatty acids. Uh, if you look at the list, it's got tons of stuff that would fill our daily requirements in terms of vitamins, uh, B, C, E, in terms of minerals, calcium, iron, magnesium, manganese, phosphorus, potassium, zinc, all kinds of things. It's got lots of fiber in it. It's got lots of protein in it. All this stuff that we have taken out, that our body needs, we have thrown it out, and sometimes this stuff is just being fed to the fish in aquariums. And we have made this sacrifice for the sake of adjusting to our modern lifestyles. Well, that's not good, is it? It's not good at all. So, see, I have given you every herb that yields seed, which is on the face of all the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed. To you it shall be for food, like fruits, nuts. The seed itself, like grains, it's life bearing. The seed is the bearer of life. So when God gave us these things, He gave us life to it. And now we eat all the processed stuff we eat. It's all dead. It's not alive. We eat dead things. But God wants us to eat things that are alive, that are full of life. That's how He designed us. Okay, let's continue to look at our modern artificial world, how it improves on God's design. Now, this is a spider goat. The first time I heard of it was almost 15 years ago, or maybe 12 years ago. There was a program on BBC called Playing God. How interesting. Playing God. Remember, forgetting the creator, and now we are playing God. Uh, and this is one of the states in America. I don't remember where. Surprisingly, this is allowed, legalized. They have combined some. Uh, they combine silk spider with a goat. So it's not some kind of monster. They've just taken some genes from the silk spider and put it into a goat and genetically modified goat, so that when you milk this goat now, you get silk in the milk. You get much more silk out of goat's milk that you would get from a little spider. So production wise, it's excellent. It's great. You get much more stuff coming out so quickly. But I wonder if we have made some compromises here to be able to do this. Some other things that have been done, or you can see that a little red thing there, it's rats. So some people have genetically modified rats so they glow in the dark. You see this rat standing right there. What's the next thing? Rats taking over the world? Who knows? Uh, you can actually buy a gene engineering kit, and it costs less than $160 or less than 150 pounds, uh, British pounds. You can buy this stuff that you can order to get to arrive to your home, and you can genetically alter. Uh, with this kit, you can genetically alter bacteria and change their genes. But all over the world, in like little houses and community centers, there's kids genetically modifying life. Like lots of places they do things with fish to make it glow. So they genetically modified aquarium fish to make it glow in the dark. Kids are doing this everywhere. You don't need any workshop for it. You can do it in the kitchen, in the garage, in a community center. Stuff, people are doing this stuff all over the place. And who knows what's happening in secret labs illegally with people who have plenty of money. Uh, so yeah, you can get a kit. You can get more expensive one where you can sort of genetically modify yourself or your pets, dogs, cats, who knows what. Now, prime example here of the modified humankind. This happened in 2018. Um, Lulu and Nana in China. Okay, so they'll be studied for the rest of their years, um, like the child in the Truman Show, if you have seen that film. China's gene edited twins. Now, the scientists who did this, it wasn't really legal and it wasn't really fully approved, but he did this anyway. Basically, he genetically modified two baby twins so that they would be resistant to HIV virus, which sounds like a good thing. But by the way, let's kill two birds with one stone. So while he was doing that, he also genetically modified them so they'll have higher intelligence than normal children. Um, well, Lulu and Nana. So I don't know how old they are now. A couple of years, maybe 4 years old, 3, 4 years old. And the whole world will be looking at them, and they'll who knows what will happen to them. I know that this scientist is now in prison, but basically we have children who are genetically modified, and this stuff has been happening for a number of years now. This is the world that we live in, the world of modified humankind. I know there are some companies in America where you can order children with specific eye color, for instance, and maybe some other things, but I know definitely. And apparently, it's extremely popular to have children with green eyes. That's the green is the new red, yeah. So a lot of people are ordering babies with green eyes, and you can go there, you can pay, and you get your genetically modified baby child with green eyes, or whichever color you want to choose. This is the world we're living in, modified humankind. Okay, let's have a look at some other aspects of the creation that we have forgotten about, and that in forgetting the creator. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. So we are told that we've been created in God's image. And this whole idea of male and female, this idea of variety within humanity, there's something that somehow, in some way, in some manner, in some aspect, it reflects God's being. It reflects who God is himself. The aspects of male and female, or in some way, on some level, it reflects God's nature and God's being. Well, through the modern ideas uh, promoted by transhumanism, which means going beyond mere natural human. One of the ideas of the transhumanism is post-genderism, where the idea is that we don't need genders anymore. Let's just do away with them. It's just standing in the way. It's stopping us from achieving our full potential as humans. So you don't need male or female or any genders. You can just do away with it. That's the times that we're living in. And this is what transhumanism is doing, and it's well embedded in the Western societies at this time, especially, and the whole idea of gender, it's been turned upside down if compared to the original God's design from the beginning of time. So who am I? Some kids, they're teaching them all kinds of stuff in schools. 5-year-old kids, 6-year-old kids. They're just kids. They're trying to feed them all these kind of ideas about gender and sexuality and stuff. Goodness me, at that age, I don't think they're helping them. I think just confusing them even more. Let the children be children. Let them be children innocent for as long as they can be. So these are all alternatives improving on God's design. And interesting, the sin came into this world through the tree of knowledge. Uh, Knowledge itself, that was the original sin, knowledge. And the knowledge that we have acquired about the creation, about nature nowadays, and how we are using it, is it really good, or is it, or the results of it, is it going to turn good or is it going to turn bad? That's the thing. In us changing everything, uh, God told Adam and Eve in the beginning, this is the way things are. Enjoy it and live forever. And they chose they chose alternative knowledge. And we seem to be doing something very similar at this stage, at this age, last few centuries, last 250 years, coming to some kind of culmination now. We're actually changing God's design in such a way, on genetic level, on all kinds of levels. the modern tree of knowledge of good and evil. Will it turn out to be good for us, or perhaps it'll turn out bad for us and sour in our mouths? Okay, so let's have a look at the last aspect of creation. Then the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to tend and keep it. Now, this is interesting. God didn't create us as spirits to live forever as spirits. Adam and Eve were meant to live forever, but in physical bodies, and they're meant to be physically active. And today we have blue-collar jobs, let's say, white-collar jobs, but in the beginning, there was only one job, and everybody was wearing green collar, yeah, so to say. We were all supposed to be gardeners, physically active in this way. That's how God has designed us. But now, in recent times, again with the invention of steam engine, internal combustion engine, all other kind of things multiplying nowadays, most of our lifestyles, a lot of people nowadays lead a lifestyle, sedentary lifestyle, where you're just sitting. When you drive to work, you're sitting. When you work at the computer, you're sitting. When you rest and relax after work, you're sitting on your sofa or your chair, sitting. And are we really evolving? There's a bit of a cartoon image there. Are we really evolving, or are we devolving? Are we progressing, or are we turning into something that who knows what it will be in the end? So our lifestyles have changed so much that things are not healthy, things are not good. Although technology seems to be progressing, us as humanity, the way we are modified to adapt and adjust to this new lifestyle, it's not good for us. It's not healthy for us. It's not beneficial for us. And this is really the conclusion of the final message in the Bible. It's found in Revelation 14, 6 and 7. Then I saw another angel flying in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach to those who dwell on the earth, to every nation, tribe, tongue, and people, saying with a loud voice, fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment has come. And worship him who made heaven and earth, the sea and springs of water. This is the time of the end of history, when people have forgotten their creator, as if he does not exist anymore. And we find our own new purpose for life, our own way of life, our own modified lifestyle. And we now become like gods ourselves, creating new things. Is it good for us, or perhaps not so good? The final message of the Bible towards the end of the biblical narrative in the book of Revelation is this: give glory to the Creator. Remember him who created all things, and remember how he created all things, and remember how he wanted us to function in every way, physically, spiritually, emotionally, intellectually. Remember the Creator and give glory to the Creator. Thinking about the way we live our lives, lifestyles that we lead, in every way, in our hearts, in our minds, in our bodies, give glory to the Creator. Thank you for listening, and may God bless you.